Welcome to Patscast, the unofficial Regina Pats podcast. This is the new season. It's September 18th already, Kevin, isn't it?
It's pretty wild.
Yeah,
It's been a summer.
it has been for both of us. Been kind of busy. We didn't get out kind of a summer episode. We were planning to. We did the Dante interview, and then we were going to line up the off ice kind of news and notes and kind of reviews, but we didn't get around to it. Stuff happened, life happened, but it is what it is. We'll kind of touch on a bit of it tonight, and then we'll kind of roll into the season kind of preview and the camp and stuff that we kind of saw. We didn't see much of camp, either of us, but yeah, we can talk about that in the preseason and kind of look forward to the season now that we kind of got a little bit more of a roster kind of filled out and narrow them down. A couple more guys got reassigned today. So yeah, that's kind of what we're gonna do tonight.
Should be interesting. Lots of stuff to cover. We won't cover it all, but there's a lot of stuff to cover. Lots of stuff happened in the last like 3 months, 4 months.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna skip over maybe some stuff like way back at the start of summer, but we'll touch on the important things, of course. I think the first thing to start off with is staff changes that kind of happened throughout the summer. Multiple staff changes in the whole organization. Obviously, the first and most noteworthy was John Paddock stepping down, which kind of wasn't too unexpected.
Yeah, that wasn't much of a surprise. I think a lot of people expected him because of what's gone on the last couple of years with his health and stuff. And he's not a young man anymore. I totally understand him wanting to step away and retire. He's been in hockey forever. So hey, why? I don't blame him.
No, not at all. Like you said, that health. He touched on it a few times last year. He said he's almost lucky to be here. So um, it's good to see that his health is good now and he can enjoy life and he's still
Go be a
sticking.
dad, be a grandpa,
Yeah,
whatever. Do all that kind of stuff.
and he's still what's his new title? Senior vice president or something? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
he's advisor of some sort.
Senior advisor, yeah, something like
Yeah,
that. So I did see him at camp. So he's still kicking around, right? But obviously in a diminished role, maybe more of a just a
just to sit back and watch,
advisor. Yeah,
answer some questions
yeah,
if anybody has answered or any questions or whatever.
yeah. So bringing in Alan Miller, I think that's probably one of the top options they probably had
It's
for
a
GM.
very very smart move. Very very smart move.
Yeah, like obviously he's got a ton of experience at the junior level. He's only been out of the WHL for a couple of years, so he still knows some of the players. He's not that far removed.
And he's got
Uh,
lots of connections around. He
yeah,
knows that he's familiar probably with most of the GMs and lots of the coaches and stuff like that. So he's got a lot of connections.
yeah, he's still dealing with them when he was in his Hockey Canada role, right? Doing the under 18s and the under 20. So he's still dealing with all these WHL GMs and coaches. So yeah, I think that was a great hire.
I agree.
And then on to head coach, um, promoting Brad Haroff. I mean, there's been some mixed reviews on that. I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing. With
Yeah,
a,
no,
a,
definitely
ch-
not.
a change, maybe with a lot of turnover and stuff. Maybe that would have been a good idea too. I don't know. It's hard to say, but or maybe keeping that consistency there help the transition. You know,
The familiar face, it'll be nice, but with the turnover of the roster, is anybody going to be in any kind of place to win a bunch of games? I don't know.
yeah, that's the
No
thing.
matter no matter who it was, they could have brought in an NHL pro, and like who knows what could have been. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
it'll be interesting.
definitely, and like Dante said in that interview we had with him, he said the players are really excited for him to be head coach. So see how that works out, right?
Yeah, for sure. Got to give him a chance. He's been here for what, 8 years,
Yeah,
7, 8, 9 years, whatever.
since the last kind of turnover, I guess, with John starting here.
Oh yeah, yeah. So he's been here that long. Give him his chance. Hey, he was probably, I believe he's already under contract. So, and he's familiar with all the players, familiar with the systems, and familiar with everything here. So give him a chance. I look forward to seeing what he can do with the roster they've got.
Exactly. So, and then there was a hole to fill there. I heard Evan McFeeters. Now that there's a younger guy bringing in some fresh blood. Kind of like to see that.
Yeah, it was interesting. Saw posted that he was out in the Alberta Junior League there, and I think I mentioned it to you in a message, and I said, hey, I wonder if he'll be joining the Pat staff, and he ended up joining the Pat staff.
Yeah. So
He's got a winning record in Alberta Junior, so he might have some connections too, and he's got some different ideas. So it's going to be interesting. Hopefully the coaching staff listens to him and stuff.
yeah. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, he's
Get some
spent.
different ideas in there. Something needs to change. They gotta keep the puck out of the net. They gotta figure out how to score as a team because they don't have specific players back this year. So maybe he can help the younger guys, even the older guys, help them get some offense going or whatever, or help them with the defense or whatever part he's playing.
Yeah. Speaking of that, he looked like he was at the defensive end of the bench, and during the preseason, and Ken Schneider was at the forward end of the bench. So
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
what it looks like.
I don't know what his Evans background is. We know um, Ken's is defensive, so it's kind of maybe a little surprising to see him at the forward end, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, Evans spent the last 8 years in the AJHL, a couple years with Brooks, and we know how good Brooks is every year. And then the last season with the Sherwood Park Crusaders, I think they're a pretty solid organization as well. Yeah, so yeah, nice to see.
Other staff changes. Nathan
Yeah,
Cantor is no longer with the Pats. The communications or whatever he with the social media video guy is now the play-by-play voice with the Vancouver Giants.
yeah, nice to
Landed
nice to see him get a promotion, I guess, kind of thing. Um, so I dealt with him all the time post game, and he ran the interviews and stuff. So we kind of got dealt with him a lot, and he's a really good guy to deal with, and he was pretty excited to get back into the play by play role. I know after the last media availability of the season, I said, "All right, thanks for everything this year, Nathan, and maybe I'll see you next year. If not, good luck to wherever you're off to, because there's so much turnover in this level. So, but it's good to see him to go to Vancouver, a great spot there to continue on his career.
for sure. Also, Landon Watson, he took a job with the Arizona Coyotes. I can't remember what the role is, but congratulations to him.
Yeah, I don't recall the role either, but jumping from here to the NHL, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and then they brought in Tristan Fry to take over his role, and he seems to be fitting in pretty well. And very nice and friendly guy.
Yeah, local
Young
guy.
young guy that just retired from pro hockey. So
Yeah, he's been playing most of his career around here. He played with Melville, I think, and then the Cougars, and then had a little stint in England in pro hockey.
yep.
So yeah, so I mean, another young guy. Maybe he'll have some different ideas. He's been on the ice too, has he not?
From what I understand, he seems involved with practices and stuff once in a while. I'm not sure if all practices, but he's on the ice with the guys.
Yeah, so nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah, for sure. And still no mention of Keith Ollie. I'm sure he's still around, but there's no mention of him anywhere still,
Yeah,
which I find funny.
yeah, it is
Maybe he'll have a defined role this year, an officially defined role.
definitely. Um, yeah, you want to talk about camp a little bit? I mean, I wasn't there hardly at all. You were kind of there.
I was there, but I wasn't there. I watched the scrimmages. I didn't watch any of the practices.
Yeah,
But from what I saw, there was the Pats with their 2023 draft. They didn't have a pick to the third round, and the 51st pick, the 61st pick, Klassen and Kuzma, they're going to be. I don't know. I won't. I hate throwing around the word elite, but they're going to be pretty top end kids. Kuzma is 15 years old and he's already like 6'2", 180 pounds, muscle and guys are around pretty good. Klassen, same same thing, not quite as big, but he was good at face-offs, good in the corners. It's I'm hopeful for those guys. Lansard, sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, you add those guys like Temple, Allman, and Stinton, who we've seen get drafted last year and signed already. So
Yeah,
their talent is starting to build up. Where we had that lack of talent because we didn't have higher end picks, and it's just starting to build. Like the floor is coming up with this franchise. I think.
yeah, even like with the late guys, like the late picks, like with Klaas and Kuzma, Kowalchuk. Kowalchuk hasn't signed or anything, but Lansard, that kid has got a shot. He's the 78th pick this year, and he's got a shot that he probably could. Well, the shot could play in this league, but I don't think he's quite ready to play in the league, of course. But there's three of the top four picks, and they're like 50 to 78. So like
Yeah.
they got them signed. They got three of the four signed. It's unbelievable. And they probably could have had like Klassen and Kuzma probably both could have been first round picks from what I saw.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I'm not a scout. I don't work
No.
for the team or anything. But yeah,
No, that's good. That's good to hear, right? You like to see that. Like we said, the team has lacked that depth of talent. They've had obviously some top end talent, but not enough of it. So
yeah.
it's nice to see that them they're drafting and able to sign these guys as well.
And they signed a couple of defensemen too from the draft. Jet Deschamps, like
The
the
kid,
little the kid. That I still can't believe how viral that went. Like he was all over. Okay, so what? The kid's 14. He looks like he's like 10.
yeah,
So what? A lot of guys look like that. If
yeah,
they went through every single roster, I'm sure there's guys that even look younger than him. So,
yeah,
and he is kind of small, but he's going to be good. I think if he grows a little bit, he's going to be really good. And Fenton Man, 148 this year, he was a steady defenseman in the scrimmages and stuff. So I look forward. Like these guys, that's what, five guys from that draft already picked or signed.
yeah,
It's looking good.
and 6 from last year's draft. So getting a good base there.
Yeah, it's good.
Because there is, you look at this year's 19s and next year's 19s. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of names that are gonna have to, we're gonna move on from. Like you got five forwards and a D man this year at 19. There's 6 guys. Only 3 can come back. So you need those younger guys that are gonna play be able to possibly contribute at a young age.
Yeah, and in some cases probably sooner than later too.
Yeah. I think a signing, a little later, a little older, Drew Mushimansky. He's a 17 this year, so 3 drafts ago already, but kind of not a late signing, but nice to pick him up, isn't it?
Yeah, he came into camp, didn't really know what to expect from him, and I thought he was one of the better forwards for all of them. Like even from the 19s and 20s and stuff, he was one of the better guys. Didn't put up a ton of points or anything like that, but he didn't look out of place. I'm glad they signed him. I liked him.
Well, yeah, and today Raiden Zacharias got reassigned, which is maybe a little surprising because he had a really good season last year with the Saskatoon Blazers, but that's kind of maybe one of those 2 guys was going to get sent down or sent back or reassigned, and maybe Drew made that, or maybe his performance in camp and stuff has made him the
13/14th forward.
yeah the extra guy, right?
He's pushing. I think he's pushing some of the veterans too. I
Yeah,
really do.
I mean
I like that because he had nothing. He had what did he have to prove? Everything or nothing. So
nothing.
came in and did what he needed to do. He got signed. I'm glad he did because I thought he was really good.
Yeah, like we've talked about it before that some of these older guys, the team should maybe be looking at some of these younger guys for some more ice time because some of these older guys may need to prove something because they haven't proven enough, to really help this team out lately.
Very true. Very
So
true. And
Um,
another player from the 2021 draft is Aaron Kristanovich. He signed earlier this summer, and I think he's going to be a real bonus for the Pats getting him on the back end. The veteran guys on the back end are not really full veterans. Well, they are veterans, but they're not that many veterans.
not much experience.
Exactly. 150 some games for the two main returning guys,
Yeah, and
and
then
he's looked good. He's looked good throughout the scrimmages that I saw and the preseason. I thought he looked pretty good too. So I know
he
they're not playing the top end guys. Both teams aren't playing top end guys, but he looked pretty good.
he won defenseman of the year, I think it was.
I believe so, out of the Manitoba Junior League last year,
Yeah. So, obviously he
and
had
he had some points. So that maybe that'll prove to be something down the road for maybe a power play point man.
yeah, I think they may be lacking that this year. Um,
Maybe Stan the man's gone. This whole show's gone.
I
So
know. Yeah, yeah. So Kristanovich had 16 goals, 26 assists for 42 points in 43 games. So a
so
point a game last
yeah.
year. That's not
So
too shabby at all.
that's not bad at all.
Yeah, he won Defenseman of the Year, first All Star team, most goals by the defenseman, playoff MVP, and AAA top defenseman. And
So
they won the championship.
he's got some accolades there. So maybe give him a little bit of a chance. He might get in there and do some power play stuff eventually. Maybe sooner than later.
Yeah, maybe. All right, where do you want to go from there? Maybe let's talk about Yoon Hue, the import pick.
Okay.
Obviously, bringing him in at the time, it was kind of maybe not an odd decision, but with the announcement of Ju Sim being out for quite a while, it isn't an odd decision then. So you got two 18-year-old goaltenders kind of battling for the starters role now.
It's kind of odd to have two 18s, but it's not odd to bring in. It's very odd to bring in an import goalie. This is only the second drafted import goalie in Pat's history. So, and he might be the first actually to play. Well, he will be the first actually to play when he plays his first game for the Pats. So it'll be interesting. Like you said, with Sim being out for who knows how long, it's like we hear November, then we hear December, then we hear maybe trade deadline. We don't know. It's a goalie's had a surgery that who knows.
Yeah,
He might be perfectly fine in a couple months, but it might be one of those ones that lingers on. Do you hang on to a 20-year-old spot just in case he does get hurt when he comes back? But I do like the fact that they brought in a different style goalie, an import goalie, which is kind of neat.
yeah, it is, and obviously he's got the background with his dad playing quite a while in the NHL.
He's got the pedigree, Stanley Cup
Yeah,
champion dad. So
yeah. He was not drafted. I think that was something. I think I read an interview that he was looking to be drafted, but it didn't happen. But he was definitely interested in coming to Canada.
oh yeah, he
Uh,
wanted to play. That was his next step, was to come play in the CHL. So I don't think he cared where he got drafted, and
no, I don't think so. He was
the
signing with
Pats
whoever drafted him.
just happened to dial his number or whatever, and he came here. He's looked pretty good in training camp, the scrimmages, preseason. He's looked pretty good. He's had a couple up and down moments, but
Yeah,
it's training camp. He's only he's played two games or whatever, two full games in North America. So yeah,
it's gonna be a learning curve for him, and like all the imports, right? It always takes them that few months to get comfortable, but they're I think they're gonna lean on him. I can't see them running with one goalie right off the hop. I think it's going to be a 1A, 1B situation. And Pine, he's got some experience, not a ton of experience, but
he's got 20 more games than Huey,
yeah, 20 games played, and then a little bit of obviously half a season last year of practice time and stuff.
but he's got 20 games. He's got 20 games on Huey.
Yeah.
That's it. So
So we mentioned a lack of experience on the back end. Well, in net is even less
it's the
experience.
lack of experience basically from the D back.
Yeah. Yeah. So, um,
But hopefully the coaching staff can figure out a system to keep the puck out of the net a little bit more. And I did notice that during the preseason and in a few of the scrimmages, they were just a little bit different on the defense. Their penalty kill was really strong in the preseason. I don't know what the actual numbers were, but the penalty kill seemed like they were moving it differently. They were more forceful. They were more in your face, which was
Yeah, a little more aggressive. Yeah.
a little more aggressive. They were trying to block shots all over the place. It was unbelievable. Like I think they blocked more shots in the four preseason games than well, sorry, the three preseason games because the one game wasn't on the preview or whatever, so we could watch it. But they probably blocked more shots in those three games than they did like half a season last year. And no offense to the guys, but it just seemed like they were doing more to try to block shots, getting in the way.
And I think that's probably an emphasis because, like you said, they have to really concentrate on keeping the puck out of the net. Like, we don't want to turn this into like 2021 again, um, even 19, oh, 21, 22, just giving up late goals and stuff like that and not being able to outscore teams.
Yeah,
Um,
well, you got to keep it down. They can't allow 4 goals a game because
they
they
can't
don't
score five.
they don't necessarily have the offensive score five that
Yeah.
we know of. Because we definitely lost Bedard, possibly, probably, maybe don't know about Suzdalev, and losing Stan on the defense.
Yeah.
That's a ton of offense right there. No matter how you look at it, that's a ton.
Yeah. You're not going to score
We,
five consistently. You might bust out for a 5 or 6 here and there, but not too often, I don't think.
well,
But
it's hard to say. We don't know what the upside is because like we've got Spencer who was hurt half of last year almost. Stringer was hurt a bunch last year. Vallis missed the last half of or last whatever of last year. So we don't know how many goals these guys can actually score. So if we could count on some of those guys to get 20 or 30, I don't know what the upside are with some of these guys. Like you don't know. We don't really know if a couple of these guys can get like 30 goals, that might help alleviate the pressure a little bit. But if you allow 4 goals a game, you're not going to win many games with
no.
this team. I don't think.
Uh,
Unless a miracle happens that all of a sudden a couple guys just start lighting it up, which could happen. You never know.
yeah, and these goalies, maybe they can steal a few games here and there. Like, they're going to have to, I
They're
think.
going to have to make some big saves,
Yeah.
big key saves all the time. But hey, we don't know much about it. Al Miller hasn't made a move yet. Like there's other than reassigning players and signing players, there hasn't been a trade made. Not even draft picks for a player for draft picks or anything like that at all.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was maybe
So
a little surprised that,
first 10, 15, 20 games.
yeah, he's going to feel it out, right? And then go from there.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe that's maybe what his thinking is because it may be a little surprising that they didn't pick up a veteran D man. I kind of thought that was got like, maybe top priority, but it hasn't happened, and maybe he just
It's
wants
it's
to feel the team
still
out.
it probably still is a top priority, but there's a lot of teams with a lot of extra 20-year-olds. So
Yeah, and we go back to
with
that situation.
yeah, with Sim being injured for who knows how long, do they hold his spot or do they try to fill this spot, even a temporary spot? Because there's a lot of teams that have extra 20-year-olds. Like
Yeah,
Manchester United right now has three 20-year-olds on defense. So like maybe down the road there might be a free one. I don't know. Like not a free one, but a waiver claim kind of thing.
yeah,
But we don't know because we have until October. They have until October 10th or whatever
cut down.
for the cut downs or whatever. So lots can happen between now and then. Actually, lots can happen anytime. I guess if the right offer comes up, maybe Alan Miller does something. Maybe he doesn't. Who knows, right?
Yeah, definitely. And talking about Sim, it's like how long do you wait for him to come back? Like he had such a good season last year. You hate to see him have to go through this surgery and then miss time, and you kind of think like this is a great spot for him. He can run with this team, and then you still got Pine that has some experience, and you get him some more experience, and then whatever happens at the trade deadline, maybe a team's looking for an overage goalie that's solid, and you can move on from Sim, and then give Pine like the starter's role, and then whoever they had as a backup at that point, instead of, I don't know if they would have drafted Hue if Sims healthy. I highly doubt that.
Yeah, probably not.
So
But
and
then
then
again, I don't know. Maybe that was part of the plan. Pick up
maybe
an overfed poor goalie.
so, but you're thinking, you get your young guy some experience, and then you can run with him in the second half of the season. Whereas you these between Pine and Huey, they're going to get experience now. You don't want to bring in an older guy at the end of the season to take minutes away from them, right? Unless they're
Yeah,
absolutely struggling. You want them to ride this out because this team isn't going to be the best. It's going to be a struggle to make the playoffs, I think. I mean, one less good team in this conference helps the Pats, but um it they're going to be right on the bubble there of making the playoffs or not, I think.
yeah. There's still some pretty good teams in the conference. So I don't know what kind of bump. Like, will Edmonton be much better than they were last year? How is Calgary going to be? Like, it's hard to really say. But yeah, the Pats will be. Unfortunately, it's another part of the rebuild process. Probably. Hopefully, they can prove us wrong. Hopefully, they can all of a sudden work some magic and win 30 games or whatever. That would be amazing. But I don't know. It's too early to tell. And like with preseason, it's really hard to say because you don't have your best playing. The other teams don't have their best playing. So gauge the young guys. The young guys looked pretty decent. I know they didn't win anything in the preseason, but they looked good other than the the debacle in the third period against Saskatoon.
Yeah, kind of fell
But
apart there, but
yeah, the wheels fell off. But otherwise, I think they played. Sounded like they played a pretty good preseason. Looked like they played a pretty good preseason. So once they find their stride, maybe they'll hopefully surprise a lot of people, including me. I have high hopes, but my hopes aren't that high this year.
yeah, you have high hopes, but your expectations are lower, right?
Yeah,
And yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Um, I guess leadership group, one returning letter, Braxton Whitehead.
Yeah,
Um, you put out a poll: how Berg or Whitehead for captain, and how kind of ran away with that. Not too surprising.
yeah.
I think those are three
It,
good
it
choices.
it was close to start, and then all of a sudden, Howe ended up with 73% of the 215 votes.
There you go.
And Berg ended up with 14%, Whitehead got 11%, and others got 2%, but nobody ever put down who the other would have been. So
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
okay. Hey, I don't
yeah,
know who the other would be either, but hey, that's interesting.
I think you're probably looking at maybe like a Stringer, Vallis, Spencer, kind of maybe wearing the third A. I think out of those three guys, one's wearing the C. Two, both those other guys are wearing an A. Um,
Yeah, for sure. That's no doubt about that because
yeah,
that's you got your one leader from last year that's left.
yeah,
Plus, from what I've seen on the ice and what I've heard about how off the ice, he's definitely going to wear a letter. And Berg, just because he's 20 on defense, I'm sure he'll be getting a letter.
yeah,
It's just almost an automatic.
yeah. And he's been around this team for a while, right?
Yeah,
Obviously,
well,
so
both 20-year-old defensemen last year were A's, so
yeah,
I'm just assuming that Berg will have one too,
yeah.
or at least an A.
Moving on to some league kind of news. The big one in the offseason was Winnipeg Ice moving to Wenatchee. That kind of came out of nowhere, happened real quick, didn't it?
Yeah, it just within a matter of a couple weeks, it was just all of a sudden there was rumblings going around that the team might be sold. It was reported that maybe someone was interested in moving to Chilliwack, I think it was.
Yeah,
But
there
they're
was like out
they
of Vancouver, there was the one show kind of mentioned Chilliwack.
yeah, and that one of the NHL owners, I think it was Vancouver's owner or something, was contemplating bringing a team around or
Yes.
whatever. And then within a week of that, it's like, oh, the team has been bought and sold to the group in Wenatchee. It's like, what? Who?
Yeah.
Where? When? Why?
Yeah, there was lots of not rumblings, but people kind of saying at the end of the season as they went into the playoffs, like this team should move somewhere for the playoffs, and oh, here they should go to Estevan and go here, go there, but obviously they're not going to do that for the playoffs. But they did move into the Jets stadium for the final, which was nice to see. I don't know. I can't remember what the crowds were in the final, if they got anything decent.
But at least it was a nice rink to watch a game in.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, all of a sudden, boom, yeah, off to Wenatchee just like that. Boom, bada bing, done.
And the wild thing about that is, I think the whole staff from the ice was basically let go or not retained,
Yeah.
which was wild. Like the whole staff, like everybody, wholesale staff was gone.
Yeah.
It's that's wild.
Yeah.
And some of
Pardon the
them
pun.
apparently, yeah, I never even thought of that. And some of them didn't even. Some of them found out via social media or on the internet. They didn't even know that they were out of jobs and stuff. And all of a sudden, it's like, hey, you don't work for us anymore. Your team's moving somewhere else, and too bad, so sad.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard that players and some staff weren't even notified. That's kind of it's kind of embarrassing. But that whole situation was a little embarrassing, I think.
I don't know if it was.
Not
I
embarrassing,
don't know if
but
it was embarrassing because it came. It sounded like it came together like really
no,
fast.
I mean, just the whole ice situation as a
Oh,
whole.
yeah, that whole the whole schmozzle starting in Cranbrook there. That was bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was
From
really
the
bad.
get go, it was kind of bad. But it sounds
It
like
was a no win situation.
no, but it sounds like this owner in with the Wenatchee team is pretty good. That team at one point was in the North American Hockey League, and they were a serious outlier location wise. And the owner paid for travel, flights for the opposing teams, hotel, meals, all that. He footed the bill to bring in these teams to play in that league. Then they eventually moved to the BCHL, which was obviously much more travel friendly for them. But it seems like these owners are pretty gung ho, or not gung ho, but they know what they're doing. They know how to
They're on board.
on board. Yeah, they know how to to finance a team, I guess, how to run a team, as an ownership group. So
And they got some pretty good players going to Wenatchee with them. I don't know if they're going to stay because a lot of guys were in Winnipeg because they're close to home. So who knows how
yeah, I
that's
wonder how
going to
that
play out.
filters out. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That
And I,
might play out as the season goes. But hey, good on them for they actually have a decent rink and
yeah,
stuff like that. So
and I think they won the BCHL like just before COVID, maybe. Like so, they've had a decent team there, I
yeah,
think.
and
Um,
they still have the same GM, which is kind of neat. That they
yeah, so
kept
basically the new
this,
staff just took over, or the current staff just took over the new team, basically,
and they brought in Kevin Constantine, the coach,
which was kind of odd.
which was a surprise.
Yeah, um, recycling some older. Yeah, I don't know how he's gonna pan out there with. I don't know. Is he still a really defensive coach? I don't know. Maybe things
Yeah,
have changed,
we'll have to keep an eye on that as the
but
season goes.
they're a pretty offensive team. Like they've still got some serious skill there.
Yeah, some firepower.
But yeah, that'd be interesting. So yeah, them moving out of the Eastern Conference isn't a bad thing for the Pats and the rest of the teams out here. How do you think this conference kind of shakes out? We kind of touched on it earlier. We don't know what Edmonton's going to do. They can only go up. Um, I don't think they'll pull a medicine hat and make the playoffs this year. Medicine
No,
hat,
I don't think so either.
no. Um,
They don't have the guns. Well, you never know. Like we don't know enough about some of the players.
yeah,
They brought in a couple veteran type guys. I don't know if they'll help them that much or not, but it'll be interesting.
definitely. Kind of the top end, I think, is probably going to be maybe a Red Deer, Saskatoon, Moose Jaw, maybe
Moose Jaw, they can figure out the goaltending.
Golding, yeah, and then maybe Brandon takes a step up there. I don't know.
I think Brandon will be pretty good. PA, there's a question mark there. Like they might have decent goaltending. They got big defense,
And
and
we see in the game, they play they still play PA hockey. Like it
yeah,
was not a, I don't want to say rough, but it was a physical game in
more
PA.
physical than the Pats are expecting or
Yeah,
ready for,
ready
whatever.
for, yeah, yeah. Um, and
Swift
then
Current, Swift Current could be a little bit of a wild card too.
yeah,
They've got some decent returning guys.
yeah, they
Like
kind of underachieved, I think, last year.
yeah, I agree. and they got Reed Dick in goal. He's probably one of the best goalies in the conference, playing for Swift Current, like the team that didn't win many games or didn't win as much as like you said they underachieved last year, and they got some guys that can still score up front. So if they can take a step up, they could be a team to watch out for.
Yeah, and I think Medicine Hat, the way they played last year, they're looking to maybe jump into that top four. They're going to be, a 5-6 ish kind of, but I think they're looking for more than that because they really finished this season out strong.
Oh yeah, for sure. And they have a bunch of question marks still with their 20-year-olds. They cut their captain, which was pretty wild.
Yeah,
I know he wasn't like a super offensive guy, but they cut their captain during training camp. Like that's something you don't see very often.
no, not at
no
all.
matter
But
no matter who it is or what team it is, you don't usually see a captain cut during the training camp. But
they have lots of 20s
yeah,
to
oh yeah, and
so you
their
got to make
20s
a
are decent.
yeah. So you got to make a hockey decision there, right?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, it's Willie Desjardins. He's not a he's a very smart hockey mind. So
Yeah, for sure.
and then Lethbridge, they're kind of a wild card. I don't know what to think about them. Um, they kind of made a splash with their coaching hire. Maybe not for the best marketing or media attention, but it is what it is. And yeah, I don't know what to think about them because they had a solid team, didn't score a lot, but they really played well defensively.
Yeah, and they got a couple really good defensemen,
Yeah,
so that's gonna carry them. Uh, it's gonna be a different year, I think. I
there's
don't know if
no
there's gonna be a real runaway leader,
yeah
but there's gonna be some really top end teams. There's gonna be a lot of teams that are gonna be battling for quite a few wins, but
yeah
not like nobody running away with
yeah.
things. I
There's
don't
no
I
elite
don't see
team.
any
Yeah, I don't think there's an elite team, but there's a few really good teams.
really really strong teams yet.
Oh, and then I don't know where do you want to go from here. That's
It's Ron Robinson's last season as the commissioner of the league. He's retiring after the season,
yeah.
and that's interesting. And
Um,
they placed an ad through an agency, they can the states or something like that, just to try to find someone to replace him. So hopefully they can find a decent replacement for him.
yeah, all three league commissioners have retired in the last couple of years here, long-term commissioners.
Yes, very long term ones.
So I mean, the CHL does have some issues going on. There is some legal issues going on, and I wonder if I don't want to say these guys are bailing, but there's definitely a lot of stuff going on off the ice.
Or they see something that's happening coming up that things are going to change even more, like less physical. Quebec League is basically not
Banning
banned
fighting?
fighting. They not haven't banned it,
No.
but they've pretty much like minor hockeyed it. That you fight, you get tossed and stuff. So maybe
Yeah,
they see the writing on the wall here. I don't know.
yeah. It hasn't stopped Regina and Saskatchewan from fighting. I've seen a few line brawls there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I don't know.
But yeah, the fighting thing is definitely obviously is on the way out. But Quebec went that next step and said, yeah, you get a game misconduct for a fight.
Well, I'm not going to speculate, but they did take government money during the COVID stuff. So
I think
maybe
that is part of it.
that has a lot to do with it. I don't know if it is or not, but I hate speculating, but it
No, it
feels
is.
like that.
I believe I read somewhere that
One of the conditions kind of thing.
yeah, it was the minister for sport and recreation or whatever said if you're taking money, we want to look into doing this. Like I'm like 90% sure I read that somewhere. It was back like even in for the COVID.
Yeah, when they took the money.
Yeah, for COVID. Yeah, it's out there somewhere, I'm sure. And that was I think the first step to them really. I mean, the Q is always the least physical of the three leagues. So it's not too surprising that they're the first to kind of.
And it's funny that they have or had the LNAH, where it was the Goon League. All they did was fight.
Yeah, that was the gooniest league out
Does it
there.
still exist? I'm not even sure if it does or not.
I'm
But
not even sure. But yeah, that
But
that was
it's the weirdest thing that the Quebec people are trying to because of that they don't want the fighting. Maybe because it was too much for them. They just kind of compared the leagues together and said, "Hey, this is hockey. You can't fight." I don't know.
yeah. I'm not too sure if that league is still going or not. But yeah, that was quite the quite the league.
They'd hype up the fights more than anything. Actually, kind of like junior hockey did. I remember reading articles about certain players coming to Regina to fight certain players, and like that was the whole story. And then they talked about the game the next day. It's like, oh, so and so fought so and so, and then here's the story of the game. They waited to the 5 minute mark to fight, and then talk about the game.
What else you got? You got anything else? I mean,
Well, we could have discussed
oh
the scholarship stuff that
yeah,
Josh Kreitzer posted.
yeah. Credit to him for finding out this information. He got it from Mike Johnston, the Portland Winterhawks coach and GM. So he tweeted out that if you're 15 or 16 and you sign with the team, you get automatic 3 years scholarship and books. So it's kind of
That's
funny that the WHL doesn't promote that more often.
Yeah,
Or
that should be something that should be out there.
yeah, like why is it
Maybe they promote it to the kids, but they don't promote it to people that aren't in the
public?
know.
Yeah,
But
like
that's pretty good. Like 3 years. I guess you got to try to get the kids young because a lot of kids you see a lot of kids now 15 years old committing to college already.
yeah,
It's
and
like
I know that
you,
kind of rule changed. I don't know how the age changed there, and I think it did get pushed later,
okay,
like after you're draft eligible for the WHL. So which doesn't help things because then you draft a guy and then he decides, okay, I'm going to go, right? Rather
yeah,
than knowing
exactly, yeah,
before you can draft him, right?
yeah,
So, but I know last year it was 2 years, I believe, because the one player that I know said that he got 2 years for signing,
oh yeah,
and now this year, if you're 15 or 16, you get 3 years.
and
So
they've sweetened the pot,
a little
so
bit,
to
yeah.
speak. Yeah,
And then you get your fourth and fifth years later. You got to wait. You got to play your 3 years and then get your fourth and fifth years later.
well, yeah,
So
that's kind of neat though.
yeah, and I mean that scholarship goes to anywhere in the world. I believe it doesn't have to be CIS or anything, right? You can go do whatever. Doesn't You don't have to play hockey. You can just take whatever studies you want to take.
Which is really cool.
Yeah,
Because a lot of players by the time they're 19, 20, they're pretty much done with the hockey. So
yeah. Not a lot of them go on to pro, right? Just
yeah,
it filters down. Like there's so many junior players and only so many can go pro.
yeah,
Um, I'd like to see them maybe extend that usage date because I think you get 18 months. So basically, you get a season and a half
yeah.
pro, and then you got to decide: do I go to school or do I? Um,
At least they give them a season and a half.
that's true. That is true. But you see guys like a couple of Pats just signed pro after playing one season. Salami
Yeah,
and who was the other one? Another D man I thought uh, signed pro after coming out of school. So they went to school for a year and then a year or two, and then they decided they had an opportunity to go pro. So they did that.
yeah. Hey, might as well if you think you're gonna get the chops to make it in pro wherever. Go for it.
Yeah. So
Maybe school isn't for them.
yeah, that too. School isn't for everybody, right?
Yeah, high school's different than university. So,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So well, I think that should wrap
and
it up.
there's one more
Oh,
thing we
one
could
more.
talk about: the rule changes.
Wow. Jeez.
That no more video challenges for offsides.
Yes. So
That kind of came out of nowhere.
yeah, I guess they didn't. The league didn't think that they had equal quality or in all rinks, so they just want to say, okay, if we don't have the same standard in all the rinks, that they're just going to nix it and focus on just the goal reviews. But then
Yeah,
that takes us back to the playoffs where the
that
league
may be
seemed
why. Maybe that's why they took that out of there because of them asking for the access broadcast offside call or whatever, right?
no, that
So,
was the goal
oh, that
call
was the goal. That's right. That was the goal. That's
yeah,
right.
so that kind of you know, if not all buildings are the same, they are not going to have the rule. So
Yeah, it makes sense.
it does make sense. But then you see the WHL looking at the access feed for that goal.
That's
They
right.
probably
Yeah.
shouldn't have been using the access feed
But
at
hey,
all.
they checked every possible thing.
That's true.
Maybe they should have had people's uh, cell phone camera footage. Did you get the goal on film? But then you might get in trouble for looking at someone's phone.
Yeah. Oh. Ooh. Too soon?
Not too soon. Never too soon.
Yeah. So
And the face off violation
yeah,
stuff. They
gone back to the rule before.
the
You
normal
get
waving
kicked out.
out or
Yeah.
whatever. Because did anybody even get penalized last year for that rule? I don't recall ever seeing that.
How often do you see a penalty on two face-off violations ever?
Exactly. Like I don't remember what would the penalty be called.
I don't even know what the penalty's called.
I
But
do I do remember seeing someone getting the playing the puck with the hand or whatever off the
yeah,
face off,
yeah.
whatever. But I don't remember ever seeing anybody,
I
any
think I've
team
seen it
getting
like
a.
once. Like I don't,
So
it
like
could have been in the NHL too. Like I
it
don't
might
even
have
know.
been, yeah. Because I don't
But
remember seeing anybody in Western Hockey League getting it last year.
no, definitely not last year. This was a few years ago. I seen it. Um, I don't
Because
know what the.
the linesmen just need to get them lined up, drop the puck.
I know that's the thing. Just
So,
drop
some
the puck.
some some linesmen, lines people, whatever they call them now, I guess. Um, they gotta just line up, drop the puck. If they're too close, okay, get the back, but drop the puck. Don't stand there and hold the puck for 5 minutes and then drop it.
Yeah,
No
that's where you get
wonder
all the
that's where you get the guys getting waved.
exactly. Yeah, come set. If they're too close, adjust them, but don't just stand there and fake a drop. And
Yeah.
yeah, that just
It's irritating.
it
Drop
is.
the puck.
Yeah,
Drop the puck.
get set, drop it. Don't screw around. All right, you want to give a prediction on our kind of maybe win total this year?
You go first.
All right. I don't know. Is it too much to ask? 25 might be a little much. I don't know. Let's go for
I'm gonna be
25.
I'm gonna be super 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 optimistic like I always am. I got the Pats color sunglasses on, and I'm gonna go 30 wins,
30.
even with Opedard, Suzdalev, maybe, and Svozil. I'm gonna say 30 wins. They're gonna work some magic. They're gonna figure it out, and they're gonna win 30 games. They'll squeak into the playoffs, and who knows what'll happen there.
All right. I don't think I have them making the playoffs.
Well, like I said, I'm wearing my Pats color
Nope.
sunglasses.
Yeah.
I'm literally not wearing them, but I am wearing them. I always think of them higher. Like last year, I figured they win 40, they won 34. So I'm going to say 30. So hopefully they could get close to 30.
All
Hopefully a
right.
couple other teams flounder and the Pats can gain ground and figure it out and win some games.
That sounds good. I mean, they're going to have their whole team right off the start, right? They're not, they can maybe get some momentum going right off the hop here.
Maybe their whole team. They still potentially could get Suzdalev back.
Yeah.
Maybe, potentially, possibly. I'm
But
not.
yeah,
I'm not going to predict if he's going to come back or not because
nobody
no one
knows.
no one seems to know for sure. It's all up to it's in Washington's court
Yeah.
now.
Right. And camp is just about to begin, right? So
Yeah,
it's
so
going to be a little bit till we know anything.
and even if he does, he might not come back until later on. Like who knows if he
Yeah.
makes it? He might end up
Play
in
some.
the AHL for a little
Yeah.
while, whatever. And
He can go there and play the whole season, right?
yeah,
So, I mean, they do have a pretty decent team in Hershey. They just won the Calder Cup,
yeah,
so maybe there isn't a ton of room for some younger guys there. But
yeah. It's hard to say. He
I
might
don't know.
play his way into top 6 minutes. He
You
might
never
not.
know.
Like I guess it all depends on what role they want him. He's a scorer. He's not a defensive guy. We saw that. He's not a very defensive guy. It's just true.
Yeah,
He's a import goal scorer, point getter. He's not gonna
yeah.
he's not gonna be blocking shots, killing penalties,
He's
checking and stuff like that.
yeah.
So
He's a top six or nothing, right? So
pretty much
because
power play specialist.
there's no point in him playing in Hershey in a bottom six role. He might as well come back here, I would think. But
Who
yeah,
knows? And if he does come back,
great.
do the Pats keep him or do they move him to try to rebuild to build up some assets, or do they try to keep him and hopefully help maybe score some goals? I don't know, but it hasn't happened yet. He's hoping. Here's hoping it does happen.
Yeah, at least come
It
back,
would
help
be
us.
it would be nice for the Pats to get something positive this year
Yeah.
because there's going to be a lot of negative stuff because the crowds are going to be not the greatest probably because there's no Bedard. Like last year at the end, sold out rink.
Yeah.
Over half the people were there just to see Bedard. They were
Sure.
on their phones until Bedard got on the ice. There were media that only came to see Bedard. I'm not going to mention any names. RV. Um, yeah, it's
Yeah.
even
It'll
though
be
I do say it's they're going to be hoping for a 30-win season. It's going to be a long season, and hey, I'm a Pats fan. I'm the historian. I'm going to be a Pats fan no matter what. They win less than that. They win more than that. Awesome. They lose. They
yeah.
win or they win less than that. Too bad, so sad. Next year,
We've seen worse seasons, right?
I've seen way worse.
Yeah.
As long as it's good hockey, as long as everybody stays healthy or as healthy as possible, and no one gets hurt or anything like that. And yeah, as long as it's good hockey, both ways. Like if it's not good hockey, that makes it even longer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly. One more thing. You just mentioned it, historian. The new record book is out. Just released.
yay!
All from Kevin's information. So check that out. Definitely.
There's more stuff that I want to add, but Dante didn't have a chance to help me get it put together. But he's been busy with some new staff changes, and he's been given way more stuff to do. But that's life, and
Yeah.
hopefully things get figured out there, all over the board with the Pats and stuff.
Yeah, lots of staff changes off the ice, like we said. So, business side. So lots going on there. And yeah, there's always next year. You can always add a little bit here, a
Oh
little bit
yeah,
there.
there's going to be more added. Trust me, there's going to be way more added. There's going to be a bunch of pages added. So I have way more information than that's in the record book.
Yeah, he
That's
does.
just that's just a piece of it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we should mosey on. It's getting late here. And we'll get this out. And then Friday, 6 p.m. start in Brandon, 6 p.m. local here for us. So don't tune in at 7. You'll miss the first period. And
Definitely.
have
Most
definitely.
definitely.
Yeah. I did that earlier in the season. I think it was
Well,
last year.
or for the preseason game in Brandon, they had 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
They
They went
posted
the
eight
wrong
o'clock,
way.
and I'm like, Dante, it's the wrong time. He's like, no, it's not. Like it's 8 o'clock. He's like, it's 8 o'clock. No, Dante.
6.
He's like, oh no. So yeah.
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 So, yeah, 6 p.m. Friday night. And then home opener Saturday. They're having a little get together thing 4 to 6 prior to the game. So,
Have to have
check
your
that.
ticket. Make sure you have your ticket to get in.
Yeah, check that out. And yeah, we'll see you at the rink this weekend. Have a good night.
And take her easy.